I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. You understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
So, the Jimmy Kimmel show was abruptly permanently cancelled by ABC after comments he made falsely accusing the Kirk shooter of being a member of MAGA. However, they then suddenly U-turned this decision, and he returned hosting the show. In today's video, I'm going to be using my skills as a body language analyst to react to him addressing the drama. So, let's take a look. So we can see Jimmy kind of swaying side to side, which is actually known in body language as psychomotor agitation, which is when stress triggers the defense mechanism and basically causes arousal. This arousal needs to be released somehow, which is why we see him swaying. He's genuinely emotional here. He also distances when the audience cheer for him, as he's trying to maintain composure.
Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying before I was interrupted, if you're just joining us, we are preempting your regularly scheduled encore episode of Celebrity Family Feud to bring you this special report. I'm happy to be here tonight with you.
So we actually see him doing a significant amount of self-touch with his hands, which is a pacifying behavior. This confirms without any doubt that his defense mechanism has been triggered. He rubs his hands as a way of soothing himself and distracting himself from the stressor.
Please be seated. I'm not sure who had a weirder 48 hours, me or the CEO of Tylenol. Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway. People who I never would have imagined, like Ben Shapiro, Clay Travis, Candace Owens, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, even my old pal Ted Cruz, who, believe it or not, said something very beautiful on my behalf. Even though I don't agree with many of those people on most subjects, some of the things they say even make me want to throw up. It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it, and thanks. For telling their followers that our government cannot be allowed to control what we do and do not say on television, and that we have to stand up to it.
So there's two things that he's doing here that has caught my attention. Firstly, we have a slight indication of vocal tension, which is when the throat muscles tense up in response to stress, leading to a slightly strained sounding voice, again indicating that he's stressed. But he's also putting his hands in his pockets, which, like self-touch, is a self-soothing behavior. Feeling his hands secure in his pockets creates a sense of safety, and subconsciously it calms him down, as it signals to his brain that he's not in any danger. His hands, which are our greatest tools for defense, are locked away in his pocket. He's effectively telling his brain that he's safe, showing that he's in extreme stress.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't...
So a lot has happened here in a very short space of time. Kimmel is still rocking side to side, venting stress, and when he says that he wasn't making light of the murder of a young man, he immediately experiences extreme vocal tension, showing a deep and genuine emotional reaction to Kirk's murder. He then immediately does what's called a distancing behavior, and diverts his focus to the floor and away from the audience, whilst also doing what's called a mouth press. This press is muscle tension manifesting in his mouth caused by the defense mechanism. The distancing is a method of avoidance. begins. He's in a social situation on the stage and is trying to make himself composed. He looks away as a method of psychologically removing himself from the situation to calm himself down. It's safe to say that he's being completely genuine here, as this body language is extremely difficult to fake even from the most skilled of actors.
I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this. Yeah! I've had the opportunity to meet and spend time with comedians and talk show hosts from countries like Russia, countries in the Middle East, who tell me they would get thrown in prison for making fun of those in power, and worse than being thrown in prison. They know how lucky we are here.
So I do need to say this. He did accuse the shooter of being a member of the MAGA gang before the killer's motives were even released. He has a duty to report the truth. And he did objectively misrepresent the truth. So although I don't think he should have been deplatformed, he definitely should have been held accountable for what was a blatant mistruth.
Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Steven off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous. I want you to think about this. Should the government be allowed to regulate which podcasts the cell phone companies and Wi-Fi providers are allowed to let you download to make sure they serve the public interest? You think that sounds crazy? No! 10 years ago, this sounded crazy.
So he's now doing what's called open body language and is freely gesturing with his arms. This expression is markedly different from his more limited and stiff baseline from the opening of his speech. He's moved on now and he feels more confident. If the stress were out of fear of losing his show, you would expect his non-verbals to remain near the baseline. But it doesn't. Based on what I've seen here, the stress he's experiencing is not related to losing the show, but to the public perception that he in some way made light of Kirk's death, which I don't believe he did.